Yes, and to give us the Chief Judges Training Workshop, ladies and gentlemen, fellow Toastmasters, let's all give a huge round of applause to distinguished Toastmaster, Dr. Gita Ponnuchamy.
Thank you so much for those warm words of introduction, Masters of Ceremonies. Well, good afternoon, everyone. Serving as a Chief Judge gives us an excellent opportunity to actually fine-tune our skills as an ethical leader. We learn to solve problems and to make democratic decisions, fair to everyone, fair to all the contestants. And most of the time, it's a cakewalk. Other times, we learn. All right, so in today's training, we'll be discussing the qualifications of a chief judge when you accept the responsibility as a chief judge, and the chief judge's pre-contest responsibilities, the team that you have to appoint, and how you select judges, and the qualifications of the judges that you have to consider, and what kind of briefing you have to do for your team members, how to break a tie in the event of one, and internet protocols for online contests. We will also be looking at your during contest responsibilities and post-contest responsibilities. Okay, very often, let's not say often, sometimes I've heard chief judges or contestants or members complaining that the chief judge was not qualified or the judge was not experienced. But let's remind ourselves of TI's rules for a chief judge as well as for all the voting judges and the tie-breaking judge. So these rules here, they apply to all of the judges, including you, who is going to be a chief judge. At club level, it's just sufficient to be a paid member. No other qualifications are required. At area level and beyond, the chief judge as well as the other judges must be a paid member for 6 months. And they must have completed levels 1 and 2 of any path or the first 6 projects in the basic communication manual in the old curriculum. And they must not be a contestant in the same type of contest beyond club level. They must not be from the same club as a contestant. However, beyond the club level, it's okay for them to serve in a different category. They should not serve in the same type of contest in which their club member is participating, but it's all right for them to serve in a different type of contest. And they must not serve in more than one role in the same contest. All right. These are some shoulds from District 20. These are not musts. They're not mandatory, but you know the meaning of should. It's good to do these things, but not mandatory. So they should not be a relative of any contestant. They should have undergone training, preferably, and they should have served as a judge prior to the area level contests whenever practical. All right. So let's talk about your pre-contest responsibilities. You will first appoint your team. By now, most of you know who your team members are. At club and area level, we need 5 voting judges and 1 tiebreaker. At district and beyond, we need 7 voting judges and 1 tiebreaker. Having said that, be it a physical or a virtual contest, it's always advisable to have 1 additional judge. You can call them a standby judge, but you can also call them an additional judge because what with the internet connection being so unpredictable, it's always good to have someone whom you can consider in the event of someone getting dropped, someone's internet connection getting dropped. Okay, so when you're choosing your judges, all the qualifications that we just discussed for a chief judge apply to the judges as well, both of them, voting and tie-breaking judges. So, but make sure that they are eligible, and by having them sign and send you back the eligibility form. As for the number of judges, most often we follow this practice, which is a minimum of 5, as long as the other criteria are taken into consideration. It's 5 for club and area, 7 for division and district. Okay, let's take a look at this scenario. Okay, so you're the chief judge for an area contest, and you ask a Toastmaster who has moved to another country. He or she was with your club before, but now they have moved to another country to serve as a judge. And this Toastmaster says they renewed their membership a month ago. Is this member eligible to be a judge?
Yes.
Yes.
No,
Anything else? Who
No.
says no, and why not?
because he's not the 6 month, he's 1 month telling.
You're right. So you're right, Toastmaster Dinesh. Because only for the club level, they have to be a paid member of a club in good standing. But at area level and beyond, they have to have membership for 6 months. Otherwise, they cannot serve as a judge or a chief judge for area level and beyond. Okay, let's look at another scenario. You're the chief judge in a district contest. Must the judges you select have previously judged a Toastmaster speech contest at area or division level, according to the rule book?
No, ma'am.
Not necessary.
Correct. I heard the no, ma'am first. Well done, lady. Okay, so it is preferable to select experienced judges. However, it's not a requirement by the rule book. This is a requirement, by the way, beyond district level, the quarterfinals and the semifinals, etc. Another scenario. You've been appointed as the chief judge for Area 10 international speech, and you receive the eligibility forms from your contestants. And you notice you have a dual member contestant who is a member of your home club in Area 15. You're judging in Area 10. They belong to two areas. So they are in Area 15, but your home club. Are you eligible to serve as chief judge in the Area 10 international speech contest?
Yes.
Yes. Any other answers?
I feel no, ma'am.
Why not, ma'am?
Because the person belongs to your area. So how is it possible? I think
Not
one of the
area,
rules-
sweetheart. The person belongs to your club. You know,
Yeah.
you still know the person personally, the member, the contestant personally.
Okay.
So there might be some influence somewhere. So to avoid that, the rule book says you should not judge in a contest where a club member, in the same contest where a club member is contesting. All right. So in this case, no. You can swap with the other chief judge, and you could chief judge in a different contest, in a different type of contest, but not the same thing, because that would mean the chief judge and the contestant would be from the same club. All right. So scenario 4. You're the chief judge for international speech, and one of the judges is from a club where there's a table topics speech contestant in the same area contest. Can this judge serve in the international speech contest? Can this judge serve in the international speech contest?
No.
I think yes.
Yes.
ma'am.
Yes, the answer
Yes.
is yes, because
Yes.
you're not judging in the
Another
same
event, yeah.
contest. Yeah, it's a totally different type of contest. So you will not be involved as a chief judge or a judge. You're not going to be involved with another contest. So it's okay if your club member is contesting in a different contest, but you're safe here. So the answer is yes. So let's look at some of your pre-contest responsibilities. So you have to brief all of your team members. And when it comes to virtual contests, you have to brief the contest sergeant at arms who are going to be in the isolation room. And you have to brief them about our district's internet protocols, because later on we will see that in the isolation room, the contest sergeant at arms is in control. Therefore, their authority there is crucial, and it needs to be respected by the contestants, the chief judge, the contest chair, by everyone. So let's talk about briefing the voting judges first. So first off, you would give them an information kit containing all the necessary paperwork, the documents, like list of contestants, their judging forms, etc., all the rules, best practices, etc. And then when you're briefing your judges, remind them about the qualities of good judges. It doesn't hurt to remind them. So this morning, people who attended the workshop this morning, what are the qualities of good judges? They are fair.
Unbiased.
Unbiased, very good.
Knowledgeable.
Knowledgeable.
Good listener.
Good listeners. They're accurate. And that they have the capacity to use their head and not their heart. We should not be swayed by our hearts when we judge. All right. They should not be good evaluators, but they should be good judges. Okay. And warn the judges about bias and barriers to objectivity. Okay. This year's rule book has included one important aspect of international speech contestants' speech as material. The rule book says that some of the speech contest may be very personal in nature to the contestant in terms of language or ideas or beliefs, which the audience might consider sensitive. Audience, including the judges, might consider sensitive. So you want to ask your judges to set aside their personal preferences, their personal prejudices, and judge from their head. Because lots of them talk about refugee problems and things like that. It just pulls your heartstrings, but don't be swayed by your heart, like I said earlier. And remind the judges not to consider timing. It's not their concern. And remind judges to deduct points for failure to comply with any violation, if not violation, non-adherence to any of the rules, such as rules or even simple practices such as not using non-parliamentary language, offensive gestures or content in the speeches. If their online backdrop is not in compliance with the district policies, later on you'll know that we are not supposed to display any trophies or anything in the background, which might influence the judges either favorably or not so favorably. And if they don't acknowledge quoted material, ask the judges to reduce points for content or as appropriate on the judging form. And ask the judges to submit only the ballots. The top part, the judging form, is not anybody else's concern. And remind the judges incomplete or unsigned ballots will be disqualified. So keep reminding them. All right. And again, when it comes to protests, of course, protests are limited to originality and referencing a co-contestant at the same platform. Remind them that contestants are allowed to refer to a world champion or somebody else from a different contest, but not refer to one of their previous contestants at the same contest on the same platform. Eligibility is not the judge's concern at all. It is the concern of the contest chair and the chief judge. And when it comes to protests, again, like I said earlier, I'm reinforcing, the contest sergeant at arms is in control, according to the rule book, in control of contestants in the isolation room. So should he bring to your attention any internet protocol violation in the isolation room, then as chief judge, you have to take action on that contestant. Remind the judges they're supposed to ignore protests from audience members. Okay, and one important thing, inform the judges as well as the contest chair, the contestants through the contest chair as to how judge protests can be lodged with you and the contest chair or with either of you. So in our district, we have the practice of sending a text message or a WhatsApp, making a WhatsApp call to either the chief judge or the contest chair before the adjournment of the contest or announcement of results, whichever comes first. And Toastmasters International has added this phrase before the adjournment of the contest in this year's rule book, because in an area contest or a division conference, let's call it, the results are announced at the end of the conference towards the tether end of the day. So that doesn't mean that a contestant or a judge who has a protest to make has the entire day to make their protest. No way. Protests have to be made before that particular contest is adjourned. As soon as, if it is from a contestant, as soon as the contestant finishes speaking and comes into the, if it was table topics or evaluation, as soon as they finish speaking and when they are in the main room, they have to lodge this protest through a WhatsApp message, not by writing in the chat box. This is very important. Immediately, so that judges will remember what the protest was about and they'll be able to decide accordingly. Because the more time elapses between the protest and judges finalizing their results, the more the possibility of the judges forgetting the speaker's performance, the contestant's performance. So like evaluation, just as how we give it instantly so that we don't forget the different aspects of the speech that we just listened to in a club scenario, club setup, the same way, things are clearest in the minds of judges soon after the contest, not after some time. Okay, appoint a standby tie-breaking judge, I had told you all earlier. And one of the tiebreakers will serve as a they both will stand by for each other. Should one of their internet gets disconnected, you'll always have another standby. So this is one advantage. The other advantage is during training, during briefing, tell them that they will also double up as voting judges. Judging is judging, judges are judges. They'll also double up as voting judges should one or two of your voting judges happen to get disconnected during the contest. This happened to me once. Two of them got disconnected. Usually one would get disconnected, but one time two of them got disconnected. And immediately I did have to stand by two tiebreakers. So during the briefing, tell them about this. And just before the contest, send them both the ballots, the voting judge's ballot and the tie-breaking judge's ballot. And if a judge gets disconnected, send a note to the to one of the tie-break. If a voting judge gets disconnected, send a note to one of the tie-breakers and tell them, please send me your voting ballot also. Also, meaning both, send me both, because you never know what you'll need. And then you can send the voting ballot to the countess, ballot countess. If two voting judges happen to get dropped, write to text both of your tiebreakers to send you both their ballots, voting ballots and tie-breaking ballots. And you could use both their voting ballots to make up the total number of 5 or 7. And then in the event of a tie, use your discretion and use one of the tiebreakers, tie-breaking ballot. No harm in using it twice because they are still judges and they're very experienced judges. So, okay, that has saved a lot of trouble for me because it was very difficult to find more than 6 or more than 8 judges. And when 2 of them get dropped, you still want to keep to the odd number. So this helped. Okay. And this is one of your pre-contest responsibilities. Check with the table topics contest chair that they have selected a simple topic. Check the way they speak too. You don't want contestants to ask for a repetition if the way they speak is very not very clear. And usually table topics contest chairs, only one time did I have a problem with the pronunciation of a table topics contest chair. Otherwise, they have been beautiful. Okay, and since we are going to be having online contests, check with the contest chair who's going to be typing the topic into the chat box. Check with them and talk to the person. Is it themselves, or is it going to be the Zoom moderator or the sergeant at arms or whoever? Check with them, talk to that person, and make sure that they are typing into the chat box. Okay. Your responsibility, pre-contest responsibility towards the evaluation contest. Check with the evaluation contest chair that they have a test speaker. The test speaker must be a paid member of a club in good standing. They have a test speaker. It's not the responsibility of the chief judge to look for a test speaker, because according to the rule book, it's not the speaker himself. I thought it was, but I double checked. None of the details about the test speech should be made known to the chief judge or the voting judges or the tiebreaker or the contestants. That's the rule. None of the details should be made known to any of the judges. That being said, why should the chief judge look for normally we have this practice, so kindly it could be the responsibility of the contest chair. The rule book doesn't specify, or it could be the responsibility of the contest organizers, but it's definitely it doesn't have to be the responsibility of the chief judge. Okay. And make sure that the test speech is not repeated at other contests. Very important, because especially now, what with contests being online and put on YouTube, contestants are keen to observe the other contestants. So I'm sure a lot of them would have watched, if we were going to use the same test speaker, a lot of contestants would have watched that speech and they would have had their evaluation ready. Then is it going to be a test? Is it going to be a contest? So please make sure that the test speaker is not repeated, or the test speech is not repeated from one contest to the next. Okay, and also make sure that the test speaker is not a relative of a contestant. And one time there was just this blind question, and the organizer of the test speaker came back to me and said, yes, she has her husband participating in a contest. I said, did you ask which contest? And then she goes back, she's all nervous. And the organizer, and she asks, oh, okay, the test speaker's husband is participating in table topics. Alhamdulillah, because, otherwise we would have had to not accept that particular test speaker. They turned out to be a beautiful test speaker. Okay, so let's check that the test speaker doesn't have any relatives participating in evaluation. Okay, then we have to eligibility checks. We have to ensure that the contest chair has the contact details of the next eligible contestants should contestants drop out in the last minute, because suddenly contest chairs come back to the chief judge and say, oh, this contestant may be late, or they may not participate. What do I do? What do I do? Okay, contact the next person in line and inform them of the probability of participation, provided this primary contestant doesn't show up when the contest chair is introduced. Okay, based on contestants' clubs and contests, ensure that you are eligible, your judges are eligible, ensure contestants are eligible, and ensure contestants are not doing any presentations at the same event. Ensure judges are not performing in other roles at the same event. Timers, as usual, give them a kit with all the necessary documents. And one important thing about table topics is tell the timers to start the timing device At the first word uttered by the contestant, word or gesture uttered by the contestant, even if they take too long to begin their table topic speech, judges will take into consideration that unduly long pause taken by the contestant. They will deduct points probably for content, but timers are not supposed to start timing after an uncomfortable, you start to feel uncomfortable when the pause is too long. They still have to start the timing device at the first word uttered by the table topics contestant. And explain to the timers how to time in the event of internet disconnections for the different contests. And ask both the timers to send the time record, to time all the speeches, and to send you the time record sheet for all the contestants, because I have found this to be very helpful, because they're sitting in two different places. In a physical contest, they're sitting together, so they both have accountability, or one is checking the other. Whereas in virtual contests, they're sitting in two different places. So some of them might have, who knows, dozed off, or just, like now I'm trying to hit the down arrow, it wouldn't work. So they're trying to hit the start button. Maybe it takes 1 or 2 seconds longer to start. So slight discrepancies in their timings have been occasionally observed. Therefore, ask both the timers to time all the speeches and send you, so you can later on, I'll tell you how to, what you come up with suggestions. Okay, and inform the timers that they could intervene. They could intervene if a time disqualified contestant was announced as a placer or winner. They could intervene, because sometimes absent-mindedly the chief judge and the counters forget to look at the timing record, look at disqualified contestants, and they start tallying if everything has to be done in a hurry. So it's never happened, I suppose, not in my experience, but it's a possibility. That's why TI's rule book says timers, tally counters, and chief judge can intervene should the contest chair announce the results incorrectly. Okay, ballot counters, again, give them the necessary documents and tell them not to enter time disqualified or otherwise disqualified contestants' scores on the tally sheet. Disqualified. Why do you ask them to enter and then waste their time totaling and stuff like that? So disqualifications not entered on the tally sheet. And remind them not to do the tallying of scores alone by themselves. I noticed last year that they prefer to do it alone and then go to their children and wife. Okay, don't do it alone. Ask them to go into the breakout room with you, and you are the chief counter, and you should oversee the counting process as we always do in a physical contest. Rulebook page 24. And remind the counters to enter points and not ranks. Okay, and also remind the counters that either one of them or you could intervene if the contest chair announced the results incorrectly. All right, so here is how we break the tie. So our first place is obvious, the highest number of points, which is 7. And this, we have a tie for the second and the third place, a total of 6 points for blue and black. Okay, why are there blanks under contestants peach and olive? Why? Anyone? Why are there blanks?
Disqualified.
Very good, disqualified. So their scores are not entered here. Okay, time disqualifications. All right, so now look at this. So in this case, we ask the chief judge sends the tie-breaking judge's ballot to the 2 counters, both of them, and They're looking at it, and usually one counter calls out the points and the other counter enters, and the chief judge has the ballots with him or her too. And then you also cross-check that points are entered and not ranks. Okay, remember the tiebreaker ranks. He or she does not give point value, ranks. So first rank, look at the tiebreaker's second rank, and look at the tiebreaker's third rank. Do we take into consideration the tiebreaker's rankings when we are looking to break a tie? Anyone?
No.
No, very good. We should only be, rule book page 13, we should only be concerned about the two tying candidates, blue and black. And we should check, to see of the two, sometimes there are three tying candidates for who the tiebreaker has awarded a higher rank. If there are three ties, the highest rank. So to whoever he has awarded a higher rank here, this happens to be blue. So they get awarded the higher rank of the two tied positions. And the other person, which is black here, gets third place. All right, now question. You are the chief judge for international speech, and there's a tie for what place? This is blocking my view. For the third place. For the second and the third place, I should have written, right? For the second and the third place. One of the, no, what I meant was third and the fourth place. Okay, I'll make it clearer. Tie for the third and the fourth place. The fourth doesn't matter, right? That's why I must have written third place. One of the ballot counters wants to select the three winners picked by the tiebreaker and have those winners as our winners. The tiebreaker's winners are slightly different from the voting judges' aggregate would indicate. Do you accept what this ballot counter says? Anyone? Would you accept the tiebreaker's ranks as final? The top three ranks as final?
No,
Why not?
we have to consider only the ranking where there is a tie.
Very good. They have to consider only the two tying candidates. So in this case, there's a tie for the third and the fourth place. So we will determine our third placer by looking at for whom the tiebreaker has awarded a higher rank on his ballot. Oh, see, I'm clicking, it won't come up. All right, so no is the correct answer. Some people have asked me, why not use the tiebreakers? Because they are so experienced. Why not use their ranking as our final places? The reason is the tiebreaker is just one person. Yes, we respect him or her. However, he or she is just one vote, as against the 5 or 7 votes of the other equally experienced, equally qualified, equally caring judges. So majority counts. Majority votes count. Therefore, we have to give respect to, although we respect the tiebreaker, we have to give more respect to all the other 5 or 7 judges' votes for the regular untied positions. Okay, now before the contest, do a trial run, especially now that it's online. Okay, find out, make sure contestants know how to enter and leave the isolation rooms. Make sure you know how to enter and leave the breakout room. Make sure the judges know how to enter and leave the breakout room. And this is all very important. Okay, scenario. Before the table topics contest, the contest chair asks you, who's the chief judge, to bring topics so that they could select one. So what do you do?
Well,
Anyone?
it's not the responsibility of the chief judge to bring the table topic.
Very good. Beautiful. So this we wrote to TI and it's repeated in the rule book twice this year. New rule book on 2 pages, it's repeated. It's the responsibility of the contest chair to select the topic. So politely inform the contest chair, the topic is their responsibility. You don't want to be in on it. But remind them about the qualities of a good topic. It should be simple. It should not have a topic within a topic. It should not expect too much. It should just ask for the contestant's opinion in the end or conclusion. Okay, another scenario. The evaluation contest chair wants you to listen to the test speech with them during the dry run. They want your approval. What do?
No,
Why not? Toastmaster
because then
Dinesh.
speech will be aware to all the contestants.
No, not necessarily. They are going to have their integrity.
May I, ma'am?
Yes, my dear.
According to the rule book, it should not be run.
Yes. The details about the test speech. Maybe the test speaker, the rule book doesn't say the test speaker should not be known to the judges. They just say the details of the test speech, the objectives, blah, 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 should not be made known to any of the judges, including the chief judge. So that being the rule, we are not supposed to, as chief judges, we are not supposed to listen in on the test speaker. All right, so gently remind the contest chair of the qualities of a test speech. What are the qualities of a test speech? Anyone, quickly? Qualities? It's a contest-like speech, contest-type speech. It's it's based on levels 1 and 2, or it is like the old 6th project speech from the old, the basic communication manual in the old curriculum. These are the qualities. Okay, another scenario. The contest chair informs you one of the contestants is refusing to send the contest eligibility form, saying, it was a he, so I have said he. Otherwise, I could say he or she wants the organizers to check his eligibility. So what do you do with this contestant? Of course, it's possible for contest officials to check the eligibility status of any member, including contestants, on our website. It's possible. But what do you do with this particular contestant who is defying the rule that they must send in their eligibility form to the chief judge through the contest chair? So what do you do with this contestant? Chief Judge, tell me, anyone?
Yeah, the contestant should not be allowed to participate without the form.
Very good. Who said that?
This is Srijit Rajavit, Toastmaster Srijit.
Oh, Srijit. Thank you so much, Toastmaster Srijit. You're right. So inform the contestant he cannot participate in the contest unless he signs and sends the contestant's eligibility. It's the rule. And we organizers, we depend more on the contestants' integrity than on their checkups, our officials' checkups on our website. Okay, another scenario. A contestant in the table topics contest for area 412. I started 2 minutes late. Okay, a contestant in the table topics contest for area 6, which is going to be in the afternoon, is serving as the contest chair for area 5 in the morning on the same day. Is this contestant eligible to participate in the area 6 contest? Yeah?
I think yes, ma'am.
You have to know, yes, ma'am. I know it's a yes. Answer is yes. Because tell me.
Yeah, because it is two different areas.
True that. True that.
Yeah.
In the same contest, they cannot take on, judges cannot take on any other role. Contestants cannot be presenters because judges will be too busy. Contestants are going to get some halo effect. So for that reason, they're not allowed to participate in the in another capacity in the same contest. Another contest, who cares? Nevertheless, you know, the whole of last year, I saw at least 1 or 2 judges were judging in the morning session and the afternoon session. I was thinking I should have asked our PQD last year, DTM Alifia, to give them some additional recognition. I was thinking, but I forgot to write to her. I'm so selfish. This year, we should remember to do that, DTM Khalid, to give them additional recognition because they are obliged to be judges in the morning as well as in the afternoon. Okay, so the answer is, oh, thank you. Thank you. A second certificate, okay, for something to do with whatever, passion and commitment and enthusiasm, etc. Okay, a contestant must not be a presenter at the same event. However, you could send a note of caution to the judges about the halo effect or reverse halo effect. It might play either way. You know, if they have listened to what an enthusiastic presenter they were in the morning, maybe they liked it, maybe they didn't quite like the enthusiasm. So it might work either way. So tell them to guard against any bias towards this halo effect. All right, because some of the judges may have, because I know for a fact they would have, at least one of them would have judged in the morning. Okay, another scenario. The contest chair informs you that one of the contestants may be late or may drop out of the contest. What do you do? What do you do as chief judge? Anyone? Just say, it's all right. Who cares? It's, you know, their loss. What do you do? Anyone?
Maybe we call them to find out what is the reason, ma'am.
We don't need to do that. We can confirm. The reason is personal, okay? Yes or no? Tell me in one word, please. One word answer. Are you going to or are you not going to participate? Because we want to give the opportunity to someone, your next in line.
Yeah, definitely. The next eligible candidate would be the contestant. Yeah.
The heir apparent would become the contestant. Okay, so ensure the contest chair has informed the contestant that they will be allowed to contest. This is the rule. They would be allowed to contest as long as they are present before the contest chair is introduced. Okay. If they come in after the contest chair starts speaking, they are disqualified. And this contestant will have to waive briefing rights rule book. And they'll have to respect the district's internet protocols, whether or not they were briefed about it. If the chief judge says, sorry, we are not going to give you a second chance, you cannot participate in the contest, they have to respect it. They cannot argue, oh, I didn't get a chance to attend briefing. It's their concern. Okay. Ensure the contest chair has contacted the next eligible contestant about the probability of participation. For the prepared speeches, this should be done well in advance. For impromptu, it could be done on the morning of the contest. Inform your team, all of your team, judges, tally counters, timers, about the possibility of a dropout or a change in contestants when practical, because usually the chief judge gets too many questions and then you are preoccupied and you're answering text messages. So if it is not possible for you to communicate to your judges, it's okay. Judges are supposed to be good listeners. So they're supposed to say, I was expecting this name. There's a different name. Okay, they are expected to score out and be responsible. Okay, so during contest responsibilities, ensure all contestants have their videos on when the contest chair is introduced. If they don't, it could mean they have dropped out. Give them 2 minutes to log back in. If the contest chair has not been introduced, give them even 5 minutes to log back in. But if the contest chair is about to be introduced and somebody has dropped out just then, give them 2 or 3 minutes to log back in, depending on the contest. And in the isolation room, as chief judge, you should check the contestants' door and window locations to ensure that nobody is showing them the the comment for the table topic speech contest, or they are showing some pointers for their evaluation. Keep checking in on contestants in the isolation room during the 1 minute silence. Just walk into the isolation room and check. This really helps to ensure that everything is in order. Okay, scenario. In table topics, what number am I on? 34. Okay, I think I can finish. In a table topics or evaluation contest, you have a father and daughter or husband and wife Toastmasters participating in the same contest. So as chief judge, how do you ensure that there will be no protests from other contestants? As chief judge, come on, put your thinking hat on. How do you ensure that there will be no protests? What have you done before? Suggestions? All right, in the interest of time, let me share. Both of them must have their video and audio on and hands visible at all times in the isolation room, as well as the contest room, the main room, even after one of them has finished speaking, to show that they are not communicating with each other. And we could always, as long as it's possible, practical, we could always assign a special sergeant at arms to monitor these two people and ensure that they are not turning towards each other. Another scenario, you're the chief judge for international speech division contest. You have appointed 8 voting judges and 2 tie-breaking judges. Unexpectedly, 2 voting judges lost their internet connection during the contest. What do? You lost 2. So the number...
We use the 2 standbys, ma'am.
Very good. The 2 tie-breaking judges, ask them to send their voting ballots to you and use those 2. Okay, because their judgment is as good as our regular voting judges. Okay, and if there happens to be a tie, you can always refer to one of their tie-breaking ballot also. No harm. Okay, scenario. Contestant number 5's video was switched off for a few seconds and then switched on. Contestant number 8 present in the isolation room lodged a protest after they finished speaking. What action do you take regarding contestant number 5? They switched their... sorry.
What contest is it in?
What contest? It's in the isolation room. So it's...
So it's table topics or evaluation.
Yeah, one of the 2, either table topics or evaluation. So what action do you take about this contestant? Number 5?
I think
Anyone?
I think the contestant number 8 should have lodged a protest even before, right, ma'am?
How can they lodge a protest before when they're in the isolation room and they're supposed to have their hands like this and they're not supposed to be fiddling with any electronic devices for fear of some contestant raising a protest saying, oh, you have the table topic here, oh, you have the... So when they're in the isolation room, they cannot lodge a protest. So they have to come out, finish their speech, and then from the main room, they have to send a text message, right? So as chief judge, what we can do is confirm with the contest sergeant at arms that this happened. Usually we have 2 sergeants at arms, okay? Occasionally, due to non-availability, we have 1. Whatever it is, confirm that this did happen. And confirm, sometimes the contest sergeant at arms do not exercise their authority. They ignore such things. And one time it so happened that the contest sergeant at arms informed the chief judge and the chief judge ignored whatever the contest sergeant at arms told him. Okay, so disqualify the contestant. Check with the contestant, did this really happen? And then if they say, yes, it did happen, then you say, sorry, I'm really, really sorry, but we have to disqualify you because during that 2 seconds when your video was turned off, someone could raise a protest saying that one of your family members or a close friend Toastmaster handed you the topic or handed you the evaluation. So apologize and disqualify, and inform the judges that a disqualification happened and for them not to consider when tallying their totals or their ranks. Okay, during the table topics contest, the contest sergeant at arms in the isolation room calls or texts you, the chief judge, to say that the last contestant's video was turned off. Last contestant's video was turned off for a few seconds and then turned on. So there is no contestant to lodge a protest. But the contest chair has every authority to do this. What action do you take regarding this contestant?
How contest chair will know that there's a video gone off, because contest chair in the main room and contestant in the isolation room.
As chief judge, Toastmaster Dilip, as chief judge, what action do you take?
Yeah, that I'm asking. That as a chief judge, you will be in the main room. Your contest chair will be in the main room. Only the contestant and sergeant at arms will be isolation room, and the video gone off.
But Toastmaster Dinesh, you didn't get my question. It's the contest sergeant at arms informing you. The contest sergeant at arms in the isolation room tells you, not the contest chair. You see what I mean?
May I, ma'am?
Yes, please.
Yeah, I think the same rules that you told us in the previous scenario would apply, because
Very true.
as per the rule book, I think even for few seconds they should not put off the video, right?
It's not the rule book, it's the district's policy, internet protocols. Let's call them internet protocols. Okay, because even if the video goes off for a few seconds, someone could have handed them the table topic or evaluation. That's the cause for protest. So Toastmaster Dinesh, you agree now?
Yes, ma'am, I agree.
Okay, good. Because first you thought the complaint was from the contest chair. Anyway, it's not for the contest chair to raise any protests. Protests are limited to judges and contestants only. And in this case, the contest sergeant at arms can protest regarding internet rule violation, not rule, protocol violation. Okay, so again, inform the judges, right? You're the chief judge for international speech. A contestant's internet got disconnected halfway through their speech, and they were given 3 minutes to log back in. They managed to, but when they resumed speaking from where they left off, they got disconnected again. So what do? They were an excellent speaker. So do you use your heart or your head? What do? Do you give them a second chance? Heart or head? And the internet protocol says just a one-off chance to log back in will be given.
We have to use our heads and should not give the chance again, because it's decided in the pre-contest.
Yes, very good. They've been briefed during the pre-contest briefing that no second chances will be given. You're right, Toastmaster Dinesh. Thank you so much. So no second chances will be given. However good the contestant is don't use your heart, use your head, and follow the same internet protocols for all the contestants consistently and fairly. Scenario 16, you're the chief judge for evaluation speech contest, evaluation. And the test speaker got disconnected halfway through their speech and could not log back in after 3 minutes, whatever, 5 minutes. What do? Test speaker. Any answers? Okay, ask the standby test speaker to present their speech. As simple as that. All right, post-contest responsibilities in the event of the protest, meet with the judges immediately. Okay, and ensure judges' points for contestants with disqualifications are not entered on the tally sheet. And as chief counter, oversee the counting process and double check that the entry of all the ballots and totaling of all the scores entry is correct. The entry of everything and totaling are correct to ensure accuracy. So last scenario, or one more maybe. Judges have raised a protest regarding the percentage of originality of a contestant's speech, but the contestant is participating immediately in the next contest as well. What do? I said protest should be dealt with as soon as possible. But in this case, anyone?
I think if we intervene during this time, it may affect the performance of the contestant in the
Very
next.
true. Contestants' comfort comes first, always. So let them relax, okay, and ask them to come into the breakout room at the end of the second contest. Ask the judges to take notes of how this particular contestant, send a note to them, tell them this whatever protest that cannot be resolved instantly. So take notes, remember how the contestant did, and later on we'll deal with the contestant after. I know it's inconvenient for the judges, but what do? When we are judges, we accept all these inconveniences. If there is a break, you could deal with the protest immediately. No break, wait until the contestant is free. Okay, last scenario, I guess. Okay, both the timers send you their time record sheet and you notice a discrepancy of 3 seconds for one of the contestants. And unfortunately, the contestant happens to have been disqualified for time according to one timer. So what do? Kindly note, this is not a rule in the rule book to ask for 2 time record reports, but it's helpful for online contests. Like I said, they're sitting in 2 different locations and timing, and there could be some differences. So what do you do in this case? 3 seconds. According to one, disqualified by 3 seconds. According to another, not disqualified.
I think we have to take the average of the both timer.
Very good. If you use your head, take the average of, you have served your role as timer beautifully well, Dinesh. Okay, so use your head and take the average. Sometimes you could use your heart and go for the whatever and not disqualify the contestant, but use your head. It's better to be fair to the contestant in question and to be fair to the 2 timers. Take the 2 time values, etc. Okay, finally, send your result form instantly to the contest chair to prepare certificates and ensure that the contest chair announces the winners in the correct order. Last but not least, fill out the notification of contest winner form, sign it and send it to the contest chair. And then don't forget to celebrate, whistle, sing, dance with your team, whatever applies to you.
Thank you so much, distinguished Toastmaster, Dr. Gita Ponnuchamy. That was really so informative, and I think that it's really a big task and responsibility to be a chief judge.
Definitely.
What do you say?
Definitely. Having in your hands, choosing the panel of the judges and the technicalities that is beyond of the judges' capabilities, my goodness.
Well, I find the presentation quite interactive, and I think that everyone's so attentive with regards to the...
Charming.
Yes, Puna Charming. Oh my, I love that name. We are only charming, but she is Punu Charming. In Filipino, the Puno means full,
Yes.
full of charm. Wow.
So it's full, huh? That's interesting. In my language, Ponnu means gold.
Gold. Either way, I love it.
Okay, I encourage everyone to please raise your hand and ask questions for the panel.
So while we're waiting for them, distinguished Toastmaster Dinesh, our favorite audience. You may unmute yourself, sir, and raise your question now. You're being acknowledged.
Thank you both the presenter, very informative and good for the before start the contest you presented. We got enough knowledge to be a moderator, to be a judge. My first question goes to the DTM Gita Ponnuchamy. What you would prefer during the contest to hiding the videos or even the profile picture too? And if you go yes, then why?
This is for hiding the video of who, Toastmaster Dinesh?
Yes.
Hiding whose video?
Yeah. Normally we are putting the off video for the audience in the contest.
That might be a disturbance. So it's for online contests, it's best to turn the videos off to not disturb our contestants, especially if the Zoom moderator doesn't know how to move the timer to the front of the gallery like Kaji just showed us, then they'll be hunting for the timer. So hiding non-video participants helps to identify the timer because the timer has his or her video on. So it's best. And definitely audio must be muted because family members at home might be talking to each other. We don't want the contestants to be disturbed. So ideally, hiding non-video participants is best for online situations.
Thank you. Hiding video by non-video participant is another matter. As a distraction from the audience, as you told, by switching on the videos. So how do you control if it's a physical meeting and audience we cannot control? So at that time, what the contestant not get distracted?
Physical meeting is totally different because we are all in the same hall and we follow the contest protocols, and there's a sense of discipline and enthusiasm and eagerness to encourage the contestants. Whereas in this scenario, online contest, we are at home, so we want to relax. And audience members might get up and walk around, get up, go to the toilet, whatever. So that might be a disturbance to the contestant should they happen to watch them. Otherwise, we have the policy that audience members are not supposed to walk around in the contest hall when a contestant is performing. We have that policy for a physical contest. But here, that policy won't work because suddenly the child calls, the contestant, one of the audience members might have to get up and go and attend to the child. So all these movements on the screen will be a disturbance for the contestants.
Thank you.
Gita, I have a question.
Yes.
Yeah, still related to this video being on during the contest because I have competed in the humorous speech contest. And for me as a speaker in the humorous contest, I'd love to see the reactions or the expressions of my viewers, of my audience. So is it okay if I request, for example, the chief judge or the contest master to have the videos on for the audience during at least the segment of the contest, or at least during my segment?
We haven't considered this so far. I think last year, one of our officers, must be from the PQD team, approached TI about the 15% weighting given to audience response on the humorous speech judging form. And they said it's up to the districts to make their own decisions. Therefore, we made the decision to deduct those 15 points from the total, and at least for the district contest. And we asked the judges to only mark every contestant out of 85. So this was a decision we made. Again, the same thing holds good. Yes, it's good to see their laughter. I would like to see their laughter, yes. And I'd like to see some relaxed, cheerful faces. Otherwise, I feel nervous. But probably I'll ask our PQD for his opinion. What do you think? Should the contestant request? Should we allow them to have audience videos on?
Can I hear from DTM Kajitan first? Because I think it could be a possibility. We need to practice that.
Yeah.
Yeah,
probably
so
at a club contest. Sorry, Kaji.
The main problem is actually, I would say, from a contest management point of view, as Gita has said, it's the disturbance part, but also because the videos are on, you would be exposed to certain things maybe that will distract the speaker also. So it's really all about balance. Is it worth that risk? Like somebody turning on, and in these days, somebody coming and Zoom bombing and showing something, it will disturb the entire contest. Suddenly somebody showing something on the screen or distracting the speaker because he's looking at the audience expecting laughter maybe for humorous, but actually the person is not paying attention and something else is going on, and his speech would get disturbed. So there is a risk. What you are asking is a valid requirement, but you have to balance it against all of these other factors that might happen because it's an online environment. And because of this, the district sort of judiciously took the decision better to keep it like that. And that's, by the way, the TI's recommendation also, to keep the videos off, so that the even though you're not getting the reaction, but you still can just focus on your delivery and hope that behind they are really laughing their face off.
It's all about assumptions then, that they are enjoying my speech.
Let me add to what DTM Kaji just said. In a real physical contest, half the time what happens, I've noticed it happens for a fact. Each club is trying to encourage their own contestant. Therefore, there's false laughter. And I don't find it funny, but I turn around and just a bunch of people are laughing. None of the others find it funny except for this particular group of people. So that is kind of laughter intended to encourage their contestant and not genuine. So you're not going to get that in the online scenario. So might as well forget about it. So that's not something to gauge your audience by, I'm telling you honestly.
Thank you.
And I like to address the question from PQD about the bandwidth playing a role if the videos are on. That is actually, from a technical perspective, not true. And in fact, we have big debates about it in the official group because of the same debate that happens here. But the bandwidth is not an issue. The bandwidth only affects that person who has the slow internet connection. It doesn't affect anybody else. So that's a wrong assumption that it will somehow impact, if everyone switches on the video, it will impact the quality. No, it doesn't, because that's how the connections work, because you're connecting from here to Zoom, and then Zoom is sending the message to each and every one of us.
So if the contestant's video or connection was not strong, if the contestant's bandwidth was not strong, and if they had all the audience members' videos turned on, will their bandwidth get reduced, if I can say that? Will their connection be slower?
You have to understand what is the contestant looking, because he's looking at his video. He's not looking at, so even if there were 30 videos turned on, like right now, if you look at the screen, there are 3 videos switched on, right? And there is a bar on top, and there could be like 50, 100 people, and all of their videos are on. But it doesn't affect Zoom, because Zoom will only capture what you can see in front of you, and only that video will be sent to the server. So it doesn't matter if the other videos are on, because I can't see them.
All right. I see Jamal Shaikh raise his hand. Toastmaster Jamal, please, you are acknowledged.
Good evening. This is Jamaluddin Sheikh. Good evening, DTM Gita, Ponnuchamy, and Kazetan, for your wonderful and very informative presentation. I have one question. Question in the sense, it's like a scenario. During evaluation contest, there are 6 contestants, and after target speaker speech, 6 will be moved in breakout room. But last 2-3 speakers will get advantage of time, so that they can arrange the evaluation speech in a proper way. But very initially, like contestant number 1 and 2 and 3, they don't have time. How far it is like we can like justification?
Yeah, this has always been the case, whether it is a physical contest or a virtual contest. We have always, Toastmasters International has always done this. Yes, I do agree. The last, only the first contestant doesn't have as much time as all the other contestants, and the last one gets the most time to process the thoughts. But this can't be helped at all, and because there's no other solution for it, number one. And number two, that's the reason why in a physical contest, we take away the notes. We take away the notes. The contest sergeant at arms takes away the notes, so at least they're not scribbling. They're only processing in their heads if they're able to focus. The other contestants in the waiting room. So there's no solution at all. I agree they do get more time, but at least we don't give them the opportunity to rewrite like I would. So do
Is
whatever you can.
breakout room sergeant terms can disturb them, or I have to just keep quiet watching them? Shall I disturb the contestant like?
It's up to, see, it's the right of every contestant to ask for silence so you can process. But if you're, having been a contestant, and if you're even an area level contestant, you're so confident that you'll be able to wing it, on the spot. So you could engage in some fun. You could have some light chatter. But if you think that someone is disturbing you, you would like some quiet time, some alone time, you have every right to request the contestant, keep your audio on, let everybody have their audios on, but tell them, ask them to stay quiet, and they will respect. This will be briefed during the contestants briefing.
Thank you very much.
Thank you so
Thank
much.
you so much.
I have a question. I think there's no one else raising their hands, but I have a specific question to our Chief Judge Presenter, DTM Dr. Gita. Well, this is a little personal question because I've been hearing these kinds of serious stories with chief judges. Here in Saudi Arabia, most of the time they say that if Dr. Gita is the chief judge, these are the judges. And once you see the lineup of contestants, this is the winner, even before the contest begins. What can you say about that?
Well, there is absolutely no truth to the fact that the winner is already picked. No way. But the judges, yes, we try our best. Have you ever been a judge? Have you ever been a chief judge? The chief judge tries their best to get hold of judges. And usually only those who respect, who love the chief judge, they agree to oblige. Most people, they'll attend the training, but after that, they refuse to accept assignments because it chews up a whole of their family time. So they refuse to accept judging assignment, and it's very, very, very hard. But trust me, when Gita is the chief judge, she will definitely bring along a team of highly qualified, reliable, trustworthy judges. That you can rest assured about.
I am a living. Thank you very much, DTM Gita. Because I remember that she was the chief judge when I competed in Bahrain.
Wow. Justice was served.
Definitely. Thank you. On my favor, I guess.
Yeah, see, at the end of the day, even if there is a majority of Indians on the panel, see, they didn't pick an Indian, they picked you because you deserve it. So you deserve it. So they are unbiased, fair, unprejudiced, reliable, trustworthy, everything positive.
I guess I have to compete whenever the time that you are the chief judge. Just kidding. Okay, I have a question to our trainer, DTM Kajita. Being used to the Zoom platform, how much does it cost? It is just a normal payment for the Zoom, or you are paying much more than for the normal subscription?
Very interesting, because recently all presidents of Toastmasters International got an email from Toastmasters International offering 50% off on the Zoom fees. In fact, I got my code just yesterday. I haven't used it, but what essentially it gives you is whatever the cost that you would have paid, you just pay 50% of that. So a normal Zoom account is $15 per month. That's like for us around 4 or 5 KD. But with this Zoom code, new code, you are basically paying $7.50 a month, which is like 2 KD a month. So, and that account is good enough for 100 participants, which I believe up to even area level and sometime even to division, hardly you will get 100 participants to join. And then of course, if you want to minimize cost and run contest with that same level of account, and you want additional participants, you could always live stream it to YouTube or something like that. But that's the cost And if you are a president, you should have received that email. And if you had responded, you should have got that 50% off Zoom code.
All right. I think that the code that I have received is for the Lazada, Shopee, and Amazon codes for shopping because the Black Friday sale is about to come.
You're a fan of sales, right?
I
Like
guess
me.
so. Thank you very much, DTM Kajitan.
I think there's a question from Toastmaster Dinesh. Once again, you're being acknowledged.
Thank you, moderator, to allow me again to ask the question. It is not the question, it is a query to the DTM Gita Ponnuchamy. As morning session conducted for the judge training by DTM Anil. Whoever attended the training, if they comply the criteria of being a judge, as to level of the completion in path-based and so on, whatever the requirement. Do you believe whoever attended the morning session, they all are competent to the judge?
Interesting question, I should say.
I felt
Yes,
that.
why not? Because aren't we judging everyone minute by minute on a day-to-day basis? All human beings are great judges. That's why we say don't be judgmental. So whether or not they attend training, they are great judges. That's why, but what's important is if we attend training, we know we should not bring our personal biases or prejudices or our heart into our judging. That's why TI says they don't need to be trained, they don't need to be experienced. But trust me, even a child judges.
I see. Great answer too.
I have another question, the DTM Gita. Yes. Well, in a normal setup of a contest, like pre-pandemic, without the Zoom, I mean the face-to-face physical setup. So there will be a chief judge, which is known to everyone. And there are these anonymous judges who are invisible but holding their folders and pencils. And then there are the tally counters. Now, I think the normal procedure was after each contest, the tally counters will pick up the ballots from the judges and have them tabulated, right? But now in the Zoom setup, how can we avoid the anomalies? Because again, I've heard several stories where in the normal setup of the contest, there are supposed to be like 7 judges. And then once the tally counter is already computing the scores, there are already 10 ballots being counted. So how can we be sure that there will be no anomaly with regards to number one, the number of judges, because they are all anonymous and no one else knows the judges except the chief judge. And number two, where do the ballots go? Do the ballots go from the judges to the tally counter to the chief judge, or from the judges to the chief judge to the tally counter? Because there were stories like that that I have heard in this district. So,
okay, according to the rule book, all the judges give their, I don't want to use the word submit, give their ballots to the tally counters, either one of them. And, you know, we instruct them to gently hold it up instead of, you know, identifying themselves as a judge. It's obvious in a physical scenario, it's obvious who the judges are, who even the tiebreaker is, because the tiebreaker is supposed to hand over the ballot only to the chief judge, because it's a chief judge who is going to use it if necessary for that reason. So that being the case, if the chief judges brought in 7 judges, there must be 7 ballots reaching the ballot counters directly picked from, reaching the chief judge and the tally counting team, which includes the chief judge and the 2 counters. And they are usually collected by the ballot counters. Okay, so having said that, I'm surprised that there are more number of ballots than there were judges. That has never, ever, ever been heard of as far as my experience goes. There has always been the same number of ballots as judges. Probably if a judge, they had standbys, they had additional judges. So that's how there came to be 10 ballots. That's possible. They had addition. At the district level, yes, you can have 9, 12 judges, as many as you can get. If you can't get it, settle for the minimum. So Otherwise, there is no discrepancy between the number of judges and the number of ballots. That's never happened unless and until there are additional judges. Does that answer the question?
Yes, that's the first one. But the other one is, does the ballot go first to the tally counter
Yes,
or to the...
it's a responsibility of the tally counters to collect. And it's also, except for the tie-breaking ballot, which is collected personally by the chief judge. And this, of course, the audience members are observing, contestants are observing. In a physical contest, this can't be helped at all. There used to be a time, all these rules came about recently. There used to be a time, I was looking for that badge, I have it somewhere here, when we used to wear badges saying Chief Judge International. And then occasionally contestants have come to me and tried to soft soap me. Because, you know, during coffee or whatever, they see that I'm wearing judge. We used to make this mistake. I have badges here which say TM Gita Ponnuchamy Judge International Speech. So then we wrote about it, about contestants buttering up or muska polishing. And then they changed the rules. Rule book is being changed every year.
Thank you very much.
And the tallying is done by the two tally counters. One calls out, the other enters. And the chief judge is looking to make sure that the entry is correct. They're not entering ranks, but points. And both of them total up, both tally counters add up the totals. And the chief judge is the third person to add up the total and to ensure, you know, there's a huge discussion, not discussion, conversation happening with each other. So this should never be done alone, like sometimes it's done in online contest. You know, they do it alone and give it to the chief judge, you check, and then they go to their kids or whatever. It should not be done alone.
Thank you, DTM Gita.
Thank you very much, DTM Gita, for that insightful comments. I saw DTM Khalid Abdullah, you're being acknowledged. Please ask the question to the panel.
Thank you, Master of Ceremony. The question is for DTM Kajetan, just to keep him also busy. For the timers, we usually see during the contest, and you've been with me, DTM Kajetan, for most of the changes during the contest. We get creative each and every contest because we learn and then we just try something new. I noticed there is a shift between how we used to deal with timers. We used to have only one timer opening his or her video and then the other timer switching off the video. And only when there is any issue, the backup timer would switch on the video. But lately, we've noticed that both of the timers are keeping their video on. And sometimes even there is also a third standby timer as well, just next to that. And what do you think? What is the best setup for that? Should we have two timers on?
My recommendation is what we had gone to and which you mentioned in the first scenario, that is only one timer video should be on. The other timers should not switch on their videos because it will be confusing. You know, the signals will come, suddenly this turns green, after a few seconds that turns green, and the speaker would get confused. So other timers should be instructed very carefully not to switch on their videos. Monitor the timer. If they notice that the video disappears, then the timer 2 comes on in the picture. And if in the worst case scenario, if that goes also, if you have the third timer, he will switch on, but they should not switch on the their video unless the first video, the timer has had some problems.
I don't know if you can read it. Can you see CTM Gita Ponnuchamy, judge?
My goodness. I'll be offering you tea and some cookies.
Exactly. And if you know that I love sweets, you could give me some sweets.
Thank you so much. And now we're down to our last question from Division Director of Area 6, Toastmaster Marisat Morales.
Hello, good
Away,
evening. Yes, my question goes to Dr. DTM Dr. Gita. Just say, for example, it might happen like everybody commit mistakes. So for example, there's an error in the announcement of the winners or in the counting of points and all that, and it was the wrong winner was announced. So what could be done then?
Like we said, in the tally counting room, there are the 3 people ensuring that ranks are not entered, points are entered, and if 3 of them double checking, people who have worked with me, they would know in the breakout room. Nirmala's here, double checking, triple checking that totals are correct, points are entered correctly. Twice we would ensure. So after having done this, because Toastmasters has this practice of announcing the third placer first and then the winner last, sometimes the contest chair makes a mistake. Has it happened ever? Not that I know of. And announces the top place. I mean, whatever is written at the top of the list as the first placer. That's why it's important for the chief judge to stay back and not to go home, to stay back, and for the tally counters to stay back and to intervene. That's why the rule makes provision for this, to intervene should the contest chair announce incorrectly. So all these, what do we call it? Checks are in place. So there cannot be a mistake. But if it ever happened that the chief judge went away, the tally counters went away, and the contest chair in their tiredness by the end of the day made a mistake and announced the winners wrongly, after the contest, nothing can be done. Too bad. Results are final. Sorry. Your luck. Tough luck. Better luck next time. It's never happened, but if you want to visualize it, after the winners are announced, it's final.
Yeah, there you have it. Thank you so much, Dr. Gita Ponnuchamy. Meanwhile, we are ending this portion, and we would like to request the DIT to present our certificates of appreciation to our presenters this afternoon.